don't stop, keep on doing what you're doing.
And you went into the Lincoln, you tapped them on the shoulder, and you said, all right, we're ready to go. And what did you do in order to stamp the time to make sure that it was witnessed and, you know, completely 100% documented?
I think the 100% documentation comes into the fact that we obviously asked some people on the street, and we have them on tape because Bullrun was sent a camera crew down.
We walked across the street to the deli.
There's
a deli right there on 34th Street. Asked the guy what time it is. Showed the newspaper. Said what's the time. What's on the clock.
And then the bottom line is, I had a brand new Easy Pass, and we have the results from it. That shows exactly when I went through the Lincoln Tunnel. I mean, that's the bottom line. And then we had a GPS system in the car, kind of like a LoJack. It's by another company called GPS Anyplace. And basically, they were able to watch us at all times. And it shows where we were, when we were going, and how fast we were going right across the United States. We have all our gas receipts. We have, you know, all those things that show exactly when we left, exactly when we arrived. The bottom line is, it was so close. There's a reason. I mean, there's the biggest reason in the world that record has never been broken. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
It's almost impossible to do.
It is unbelievably impossible. I mean, we wanted to give up so many times. I mean, I have a bruise on my leg from hitting myself in the leg just trying to stay awake and try to keep Dennis awake. We were hallucinating. We were seeing things that weren't there. I mean, it was just an insanely long drive. I mean, we were so fired up coming over out of Amarillo and down in New Mexico, and we've got like 3 states to go, you know, New Mexico, Arizona, boom, we're in California, and the sign goes 1,198 miles to L.A., and I think the wind just fell out of my sails right there.
Well, I think what put the wind back in our sails was Richard's wife, Sue, committed to stay up all night.
Yes.
And
she said, we had her flown to Redondo Beach immediately.
If you will call in and give me the miles and the time, because we're using, you know, East Coast time, I will do an algorithm and tell you what you need to do. So about every 3 or 4 hours we'd call. She'd say, you're either ahead or behind. Well, when we told her we were going to do this, and she's on the computer, the problem was when we first started off out of New York, our first 395 miles was in the rain. And the driver's side windshield wiper broke, and nothing ever breaks in my car.
No, it broke because of the wind, and
because whoever installed the windshield wiper put it on there wrong. I hit it and just went off.
Now, what did you have to do? Did you have to like lean over a little bit towards the passenger side?
I had Rain-X. I mean, it was, you know, hardcore. I mean, Rain-X. I mean, you could still see not great, but it hampered how fast we were going to go. So we get to the end of the first initial 395 miles, you know, which took us, I don't know, 4.5 or 5 hours.
Seemed like forever.
And so we call her, and she's like, you're behind.
Yeah, we were on track to do like 44 hours.
We were way behind.
Yeah.
And she said, well, the problem with doing this, there's so many factors. A lot of it is weather. You can't do anything against Mother Nature. So at the end of that, she said, you guys are clear now. So I'm like, okay, I will make us some time. So every hour we would finally creep up. Finally got to 0. It's like, there's some hope. You know, we've got hope. You know, adrenaline's going, so cool. We get going. And between all the fuel stops, and we were so excited, we get to New Mexico. We're there. We were like, correct me if I'm wrong, hour 10, hour 16 minutes ahead of the game.
Yeah, we were on pace to run like 29:80.
Blow that record away
right
so bad nobody will believe it. We get in New Mexico, and that is a fucking disaster. Traffic, road closures, construction.
They had I-40 shut down. I mean, people can pull it up on the internet. I-40 was shut down due to construction.
So what we had thought, when we initially, or he had, because, you know, he explained what we were going to do. He's like, we're going to make some time up in the West. Well, thank God. I mean, I listened to what he said. I didn't put a whole lot of credence in that. When we were in the East, and I had room, I let it hang out. I gave it all I had.
Well, obviously, going through New Mexico, you chose the southern route. What was the rationale behind taking the southern route? And if you can go a little bit into, like, what were the driver splits? How did you guys rest, and how did you take turns?
Well, well, basically, I mean, it's Dennis's car. He has the most time behind it, and so he drove the first 1,000. I drove the next like 500, 550 till it was time for a fuel stop. He drove another, I think, 500, and then I drove again, and then he took us on, you know, all the way in. He did the majority share of the driving.
I really thought that I could drive the whole way. I really did. And most of these, well, actually every rally I've ever been in, my navigators are always my brothers, which they do an incredible job. I just thought I could get in the car, I could do the whole thing. But there's just no way. And I'm not a good navigator, which is a problem. I can drive, but I am not a very good navigator. He can drive and navigate. So the problem was, we get to the gas station, it's like, well, how tired are you? I said, dude, I'm freaking whipped. You're going to have to drive and navigate for a while. So, you know, he's like, okay.
I wrote the instructions on my hand. It said like, you know, 78, then the 76, then the 70, and then down to 44, which would get to 40, and 40 to 15, and 15 to 91. And I had it all down there, but then I was grabbing the wheel, and I was sweating, and I don't know, but I was able to figure it out. And
the planets aligned on this deal. We have both done, I think he's done 6 major rallies and I've done 5.
And I've won 4.
I have never won one. I've come in second twice, a third and a fifth. A lot of what has to do is, it's not always the fastest guy, it's the smartest guy. And I learned a lot from him. I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back. I'm usually the fastest guy, which is not always how you win the race, which maybe is why I've never won one. But running this and looking at what we're doing, it's an average deal, and it's a long haul. He's Harry. He's like, dude, relax. Slow down. You know, last thing we do, we don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to cause a traffic problem. We don't want anybody calling us. I'm like, all right, you're right.
I had to reel it in.
But at the end of the day, we have somebody on the phone looking at us on GPS saying, you're good.